glorious new morning. I'd like to tell people a little bit about Father the way we see him and knew him with passing time. I think that we always thought of Father as a bathroom singer, so I won't call him here to sing a few songs. His favorite one is Speak Softly Love. I don't know why, perhaps he loved my mother that much, I have no idea. The other funny song that he always sang was Dr. Zhivago's Lara's theme. Despite all the horror in the house, he was happy to whistle the song. And when we went riding in a scooter, his favorite one was to sing, Hunting We Will Go. And we almost had to tell him, please don't sing these terrible songs when you come with us, because the people on the road can hear it. And my sister, when she turned vegetarian, thought the song was in particularly bad taste because it said, we'll catch a fox and put him in a box, which didn't go down too well. Father also has a great love for movies. Come in. And I think he's introduced Darren to spaghetti westerns and a glass of whiskey. Now this I don't know if it's a good idea from Darren's mother's point of view. But nevertheless, he's chosen to enjoy this rather strange habit of watching westerns in the afternoons after a busy time in the lab. He also has a great love for Hindi songs, and he knows a lot about the actors and actresses, which we thought was rather odd, because we didn't think he read the film kind of magazine. But stuck in the Geological Survey of India, I'm sure he stayed in a tent and listened to the music, and bought Filmfare magazines from the station stands that sold them. So despite reading the local newspaper, I'm sure he gleaned some interest from these, but I don't know, he can correct me if this is quite totally what he didn't do. The other interesting thing is that Father's developed a rather strange interest in English opera, and he quite likes these old songs sung, like O Mio Babino, and he likes Sarah Brightman, for instance, or Catherine Jenkins. And I think it's quite interesting to see how his taste in music has changed over time and how he enjoys this. And we even managed to go to a really nice concert when he was in England for a very short time. He's also passed on to his kids the ideal of a wanderer. He's never had an address that he always had. He had thousands of addresses. And I think strangely, all his 3 children had a lot of addresses in their lives. And the reason why we have homes to live in is because of our spouses who encouraged us to buy a home. Otherwise, we might have been just like Father, having a wandering life. And I feel quite nomadic myself. My friends tell me that they have to change the address book so many times because I moved so often. So I think that if you look at your little sheet of paper, at the bottom of it, there are a lot of little pictures. Unfortunately, they didn't, pan out the way we intended them to, because we had problems with the printer and lots of printing services in Madras were down. So the first picture is a picture of sweets. And Sarojini Atta said, my father always secreted his sweets as a child. He didn't eat them all in one go. And he bought his sweets and kept it in his pocket and didn't love sharing them, and he liked to eat them over time. The second interesting picture is that of a cricket bat. For those of you who knew him in his cricketing days, he liked playing cricket. And the funniest story was that at one time he got injured playing cricket for college. He went off, had a few stitches put in, and came back and continued batting so that his side would win. So I think Father kept it doing what he was supposed to do all his life. The third picture is that of wings. And I think he said himself that one of the proudest moments in his life was doing his solo, and one of the most adventurous things he did was getting his wings. And he was quite happy about that. And his mother treasured these wings, and when my mother came on the scene, she presented it to her with great love, saying, this is my father's, this is our Davara's wing. So my mother keeps it in a silver box in a drawer. The next picture is that of, a large rock face. As you know, Father took up geology after flying, and he instilled in his interest and love for rocks to all his children. And Ramala and Ruben, when they were smaller, helped in cataloging rocks. Sophie, strangely, his grandchild, is also a rock collector, and fossils is her primary interest. She recently came to England, and her one wish was to see the Jurassic Coast and go fossil hunting. Of course, we didn't find any fossils, so I threw a fossil on the floor. and my sister has not forgiven me for this. She said, you cheated a child into finding a fossil in a place where none are found. I hope, and Sophie still to this day believes that she actually found the fossil. And she went on to say, imagine, Auntie Sharma, you're an eye doctor and you didn't even see the fossil. So I think this is a funny story. The next picture you see is that of a tent. We've enjoyed a tenting life because of Father. I can't say we enjoyed it at the time, but looking back at our own lives, we think it's rather strange that we went camping in the summer holidays and we stayed in tents. And Father quite happily inhabited these tents, even to the point of sharing his bed with a king cobra. Luckily for him, he managed to turn it out and lives to tell the tale. The other interesting picture is that of a jeep. Father had a jeep at his disposal for a time when he was in the GSI, which is the Geological Survey of India. And the jeep afforded him the luxury of traveling along, linked to a little van in which he carried his supplies. So when I went camping with my friends in the United States for the first time, I said, so where are the supplies? And they said, we carry it on our back. I wasn't amused because I was used to big tents and luxurious fields of people serving me food, which was cooked quite beautifully in the traditional way. And now I had to not only carry my provisions up the mountain, but I also had to make my own tent, which was quite unique. And Father went on to become a Gideon. So the other picture you see in your little pamphlet is that of a Gideon Bible. And he's quite an ardent Gideonite, even though I tell him that he should make way for the younger generation and not hog the limelight. Since then, he's toned his Gideon dealings a little bit less because of ill health and taking care of mom. And he now is a coconut farmer and lives in the peaceful times of coconut farming and bringing mangoes to people. So he's changed a lot over the time that we've known him. And I think that I invite anybody from his generation, my father's brothers and sisters and brothers-in-law and sisters-in-law, to come and share a funny story if they have one, or anybody in the audience who wants to say anything funny, strange, beautiful, weird, or any such about Father. Do you want to say anything, Mama? Nita, would you like to say anything? The only other thing is that people who aren't here today have sent felicitations. One of them is his sister, who is in Bangalore and is unable to attend. She sent a rather sweet story saying Father is a very handsome chap, despite the years that have gone by. And apparently he looked like an English baby when he was born. So among the best 7 of his siblings, she writes saying that he was very bonny, blithe, and gay. So he had a rather happy childhood, and the thing that interested her most was his adventures when he went camping, and that he regaled them with stories and full mind and action about things that went on. His other strange love is eating. He likes to eat perfectly cooked food, which makes it very hard for any of us at home to provide him with a really lovely meal. But he truly appreciates all the food that people have cooked for him through passing times. The second person who's also sent a message is Pepe, his niece, who says the best thing she enjoyed about Father is that he makes really nice fish colombo, of course with my mother's help. And I think that she sends her best wishes from Philadelphia along with all her family. So I think I better stop there and not ramble on anymore. So